Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome. So we are now going to start with the discussion, and I hope this will be interesting to all of you. So, join the class now so that we can start the discussion. Join now. Okay, let me. Sorry, I'm sharing the link. Okay. Good evening. You are welcome, Olichi Ijemaru. So you are welcome. So please, you should tell them in the group that we started the class now. So we are going to start with the general revision on microbiology. And I don't know if, yeah, I think let's just start with the first question paper. Please, who has first question paper? So if you have first question paper, please just drop it in the group. I will just check on it. Drop it in the group, please. Yes, please check it in the group. Sorry, drop it in the group. We are going to start solving the first question. Okay, I think. Okay, so you are welcome. So I think let me just start by, let me share one question paper here so that I think we can use it to initiate the discussion. Actually, you might not see the question paper, but you might not see the question paper, but I'm going to read the question and then you answer it. Number one, question one is says list the five kingdoms and the three domain system of classification of microorganisms. List five kingdoms and the three domain system of classification of living organism. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Kaulat Ahmad, you started with Monera. Just mention the five at once. Mention the five. Mention the five classification, or mention the five kingdoms of classification, and then three domains of classification. So please start with the five kingdoms. Start with the five kingdoms. Mention the five kingdoms, please. And please don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, if you are not a member, please try to join the YouTube community so that at least you will always have access to our videos. So most of those videos, most of your content, or most of the content of your courses, I already uploaded it. So now we are going to start with the microbiology. So the first question says, list the five kingdom and three domain system of classification of microorganisms. Okay, Khaled Ahmad says protista, fungi, plant, animals. Okay, yeah, excellent. You started with the Monera. So we have kingdom Monera, we have kingdom Protista, we have kingdom Fungi, we have kingdom Plantae, and we have kingdom Animalia. So this is actually the 5 different kingdoms of classification. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I think let me also ask you this question. Why, on what basis the living organisms are classified into 5 kingdoms? Why? On what basis the living organisms are classified into 5 kingdoms? Yeah, Chinyere Refis, I know that the question is not clear. So that is why I said I'm going to be reading the questions so that at least you will get the question very well and then we answer it. So the question is not clear, of course. So the first question, which is question 1, is said state 5 kingdoms of classification and their domains. That is their domains of life. Of course, the question is not clear. But I think you can just partially see the questions now. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, for each and every living organism in biology, we don't just actually place organisms into a particular kingdoms without a reason. There must be a classifying organisms into a particular kingdoms or into a particular class or order. So first, there are 3 important things that we use to classify organisms into a particular kingdom. First, based on their feeding, that is their mode of how do they feed. So we can use that to classify the organism. Like for example, in terms of feeding, plant are plant. They are plant because they are organisms that on their own they can generate their own food. Animals are placed as animals because on their own they cannot generate food because they are autotrophic, they are heterotrophic. Excellent, someone mentioned it. You see, based on mode of feeding, excellent, Monica, Ben, Mary. So we classify organisms based on their mode of feeding. Excellent, excellent. I like this. So what is also another basis of classifying living organisms apart from the mode of feeding, that is their mode of nutrition, how they eat. Apart from that, what other things do we have? Yes, I'm listening. Please remember yesterday I told you that you should read very well before we come for the discussion. So Monica said based on their mode of feeding or based on their mode of nutrition, I'm very happy with this. Then what other things biologists use to classify organism? So if you don't have answer, do I have to say it because I don't want us to waste much time. So another reason of classifying living organisms is that we classify organisms based on their locomotion. Based on their locomotion. Some can move from one point to another. Some they can only respond to stimulus like in the case of plant. So this is actually based on that. So based on their habit, of course, Usaina, this is also another way of classifying living organisms. So you see, based on their locomotion, based on their habit, and then based on their nutrition, based on their habitat, based on their locomotion, and then also we have based on their futures, physical futures. So there are even more than that because there is also phylogenetic relationship, that is common ancestry. So biologists can also classify organisms based on their common ancestry. Common ancestry. So you see, You should not forget about these five things, ladies and gentlemen, whenever it comes to the issue of taxonomy. What is taxonomy? Taxonomy is the study of classification of living organisms. That is taxonomy. So how do we classify organisms? Is it that okay because you just see organisms like that and then you just classify it? No. You have to look at the organisms, the behavior of the organisms, how it do things, and then you classify it. Like for example, based on the futures, based on the physiology, based on the physical futures, there are organisms because they can survive both in water and land, called amphibian. Amphibian. So according to Sana. So based on habitat, that is how they survive in a particular habitat, you can use that to classify organisms. So that is why we have amphibian. Mode of locomotion. Look at reptiles. Why reptiles are reptiles is because of how they move. They move by crawling. So based on the features, you can look at the features of the organism and then you classify them, how you see them, how to survive in an environment. So you see, there are five ways that you can use to look at the organisms and classify them. Number one, based on their locomotion, based on their morphological, that is number four, based on their morphological features, that is how they look like. You can use that to classify organisms. Like arthropoda, there are organisms that have jointed legs. So if you see them, you see that their legs and heads are all joined together, and that's why they are called arthropod. Pterygota and pterygota, it means that there are insects that have pterygota, those that have wings, and then pterygota, those that doesn't have wings. And then based on ancestral relationship, that is their common ancestor. Like simply, why human and chimpanzee are placed under the same class is because according to ancestral relationship, we come from a common ancestor. So this is the ways of classifying living organisms. These are the features that you can use to classify organisms. Ancestral relationship or phylogenetic relationship, physiological features, sorry, morphological features, that is physical features, based on their habitat, based on their feeding, and based on their locomotion. So please don't forget about this. So then, how many domains of life do we have? We have three domains of life. So the first question says, list the five kingdoms. So you already mentioned the five kingdoms. Then, so what are the three domain system? What are the three domain system of classification? So please mention them. Okay, good evening, Comfort, Bilkisu, Rotemi, good evening. So please, the three domain of classification. Please, I'm waiting for your answer. Excellent, excellent, Kaulat Ahmad. We have bacteria, we have archaea, and eukarya. Although your spelling of eukarya is not correct. So these are the three domain of classification of microorganism. Very brilliant and excellent. So these are the three domain of classification of living organism. And each of these domain, they have their special characteristics. So that is why, ladies and gentlemen, you need to go and watch my video on classification of living organism. You get all this information. So first, that is why question B, that is 1B, says describe the bacteria domain. So since the question 1B says describe the bacteria domain, please, ladies and gentlemen, give me two features that you should not forget. Then whenever we said bacteria, domain bacteria, what are the first thing that will come into your mind when we said domain bacteria? The thing that you will never forget. What is it? Please say it to me now. Please say it. Two things, just two words. Describe the bacteria domain in two words. Please describe it. Please just say two things about bacteria domain. The things that once we said bacteria or domain bacteria, that you will never forget about, that will just say it instantly. So please, two things about the domain bacteria. Say it, please. Please, I'm waiting for your answer. Excellent. See another one. He said that organism can be classified based on the types of cells. So you see, we have six. So now, just say two words about the domain bacteria, please. I am listening, please. About the domain bacteria, so that at least you will see whether we discuss that or not. Please, I'm waiting for your response. So you are telling me that nobody can say anything about the domain bacteria, please? Okay. So the most important thing that you can say about the domain bacteria, first when you heard the word domain bacteria, excellent, excellent, Kaulat. God bless you. God bless you. These two things, they are brilliant and perfect for this answer. They are unicellular and they are prokaryotic. That is, they have one cell and they are prokaryotic, meaning that they have only one cell and they are the cell that doesn't have nucleus and membrane bound organisms. So once you say this, that is why, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you one thing. Whenever you are reading, whenever you are reading, whatever you are reading, whether in biochemistry, in microbiology, in physiology, especially if you are going to answer essay questions, when you are reading something, get the basic or the most important information for everything that you are reading. Like, for example, I think, let me just show you something so that at least you will appreciate what we are doing. So, okay, Sylvester, you are welcome. So, now, why is it the question says, why is it that the virus is not placed in any of the domain. So I think it's simple. The virus is not placed in any domain. So now, please, I wanted you to answer this question. Why is it that the virus is not placed in any of the domain? You see, you have to be very intelligent and think, because all this thing that you are saying is very simple. Excellent, excellent, Kaulat. Hi, please, God bless you, Kaulat. Because it is a cellular. Why that it is a cellular? When you said a cellular, it means that it is not a living organism. Virus is not a living organism. Rather, it is called a particle. And I think for those of you that we did biochem 241 together, I clearly demonstrated that the virus is not a living organism. Rather, it is a particle because it is formed by supramolecular complexes. It is under supramolecular complexes. And anything below cell, anything that is below cell, it cannot sustain life according to the cellular theory. So it means that the virus is not classified as a living organism because the virus is not a living organism, so it is acellular. So now the next question is question 1D. Briefly describe the amateur microscope builder who first observed that microscopic organisms, which are called animalcules. So please, who is that the amateur microscope builder that describe microscopic organisms or that call microscopic organisms as animalcules? Please, who is that scientist that describe microorganisms as animalcules? Please, I'm listening to ladies and gentlemen. Which scientist describe microorganisms as animalcules? Please, I'm listening to you. Because this is how you can be defining some of these things, because they are, it is simple. So who described the microorganisms as animalcule? Excellent, excellent, excellent. Anthony van Leeuwenhoek. What is animalcules? What is the meaning of animalcules, please? What is the meaning of animalcules? When you said animalcules, what does that mean? What is the meaning of animalcules, please? He described, of course, Anthony van Leeuwenhoek is the first scientist that described the microorganisms and give them name animalcules. And this of his experiment, he actually conducted this experiment in the year 1674. So when we said animalcules, what does that mean according to him? He described microorganisms as animalcules. Please, I'm listening to you. What is the meaning of animalcules? Animalcules, please. Anyone? No, animalcules is not very small organism. It means microscopic animals. Microscopic animals. So what he did? No, no, no. Animalcules means microscopic animals. And this scientist, that is Anthony van Leeuwenhoek, in the year 1674, he is the first scientist that was able to come up with a microscope. He's the scientist that actually discovered the first microscope. And that of his microscope has about 300 magnification. And apart from the microscopic organisms, he was also considered, or he described as a father of microbiology. He described as a father of microbiology. And at that time, this scientist, which is Anthony van Leeuwenhoek, he was able to observe bacteria, protozoa, and even sperms with that of his microscope. So he's actually considered as a father of microscope. He's the one that developed and observed the first microscopic organism in the year 1674. So you see, all these things that you are seeing, all these things that you are seeing is very simple. It's very simple. Sometimes you don't need that to understand the basic information. Once you get the basic information, whenever you are reading, then you don't have problem. But some of you would just take their time cramming, cramming. It's not always about cramming. It's about understanding the basics. So please, I'm advising you, if you know that you are not a member of this channel, please try to subscribe. It's just 750 naira. So now, we are now moving to question 1E. Why is the knowledge of microorganism is needed by nurses? Why is it that why is the knowledge of microorganisms is needed by nurses? Okay, good evening, Rahama. Why is the knowledge of microorganisms needed by nurses? Please answer this. Why is it that the knowledge of microbiology is needed by nurses? Please, I'm waiting for that answer. Why is it that the knowledge of microbiology is needed by nurses? You see, I say that I want all what we are going to be like a kind of discussion. That is why if I say that we are going to have a discussion, okay, Bilkis wrote to me said that for proper diagnosis and treatment of patients, to have knowledge on how to prevent infection. All your points, one and two, which is the Kisorothemi and Rahama Kamilu, you are correct. The knowledge of microbiology is important on how to prevent infection. So if you have an idea of what the microorganisms are, you can actually advise your patients on how to prevent themselves against any kind of infection from microorganisms. And also at the same time, if you have the knowledge of uh, microorganisms, you will have an idea that microorganisms are also one of the sources of the disease, so that at least whenever you are treating patients or whenever you are trying to actually give drugs to a patient, you can also think along that line. So that is why your point, Bilkis Rotimi, is important. That is for proper diagnosis and treatment of disease. Yeah, Kaudat Ahmad said disease prevention and treatment, yes, for wound care purposes. So all these are important. So you need to understand the knowledge of microbiology for patients education. Yeah, of course, the diagnosis and treatment. This is brilliant. All your answers are brilliant and excellent. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, if you are able to answer all this question, you see the first question carry 2.5 marks, the 1B carry 2 marks, the C carry 2 marks, and then the D carry 2.5 marks, and the E carry 1 marks. So you see, all these questions, if you look at them, they are very, very simple. Very, very simple. So that is why I told you, whenever you are going to read, the most important thing, try to understand the key points. Try to understand the key point. Nafisat Yusuf, you are welcome. So please, for those of you that are not a member, please try to join the YouTube membership so that at least you can have access to all the videos. So now, let's move to another question. So you see question 2A says what is spontaneous generation? What is spontaneous generation? I did a video on all this thing. I did a video to them. So please, if you know that you didn't watch them, go to my YouTube channel, check my playlist. I have most of the video in the microbiology, so watch them. Watch them. So please, the next question says, what is the spontaneous generation? Who can state the theory of spontaneous generation? The theory of spontaneous generation. Good evening, sir. Please, I joined late. I didn't get the explanation on question 1A, B, and C. Yeah, no problem, Augusta owner. So what we are going to do after we finish this discussion, the video is always on the YouTube channel and already you are a member, so you can play it again and you can see how you can watch how we answered those questions. Excellent, Okudo. Okudo, long time I have not been seeing you. She said that actually that the theory of spontaneous generation is a concept that urges that living organisms develop from non-living organisms. And Rotimi said it's a scientific theory that proposes that living organisms arises from non-living matter. That is it. So you are all on point. So you see, that is why I want you to understand. Whenever you are reading, understanding and getting the key concept is very important. So you see, all your points are correct. According to this theory of the spontaneous generation, they propose that living organisms arises from non-living objects. That is the theory of spontaneous generation. That all living organisms came from non-living matter. So that is the meaning of theory of spontaneous generation. So if you answer this, you have 1 mark. You see, that's the importance of this discussion, so that at least, ladies and gentlemen, you will be getting most of this point here. According to them, that the theory said that all living organisms like Mukhtar, Kaulat, Nafisat, Sefer, Rothimi, or Kudo, we are all living organisms. The sheep, goat, pigs, cats, and all other organisms, we all come from non-living objects. That is what the theory of spontaneous generation means. So, but you see, now we are moving to the next question. Briefly describe the Pasteur's experiment that was used to depict the concept of spontaneous generation. So, Louis Pasteur is a scientist that disputed the theory of spontaneous generation by his experiment. Please, how did he carry out that experiment? How did he carry out the experiment, and why did he actually disputed the theory of spontaneous generation? That is a question, ladies and gentlemen. Who can help to answer the question? I'm listening. Please, I'm listening. How did he disputed the theory? Please, I'm listening to you. It helps in the knowledge of the disease causative organ. No, no, it says that living organisms can develop. Okay, I'm listening to you. How did he actually disputed the theory? I also did a video on this. That is why, ladies and gentlemen, I told you to try as much as possible to be watching all my videos so that at least you will be able to get all these answers. So please, how did he carry out this experiment? How did he disprove the theory of spontaneous generation? Describe it. So if you cannot describe it, let me describe it, ladies and gentlemen. Can I describe how he actually disputed the theory? Pasteur experiment with swan neck bottle. So Oluchi, you just actually deleted, but I think you are actually on point. You are on point. Please, how did he disputed the theory of spontaneous generation? Yeah, the Louis Pasteur. Louis Pasteur is the scientist that actually disputed the theory of spontaneous generation. And now the question says briefly describe how the Louis Pasteur experiment that was used to defeat the concept of spontaneous generation. So you see, let me see Okodu, she wrote something. Louis Pasteur, he disputed the theory by carrying out a test, or you can say experiment, using swan neck flash, filled the flash with water and heated it to sterilization, which he later cooled down. He uses three plaques to perform an experiment by closing one, and at the end, that one that did not develop microorganism. Yeah, I think you're almost on point, Sylvester. So let me see Nafisa Yusuf. He used swan neck bottle plaques. He demonstrated that microorganisms in air were responsible for contamination, and he established that life arises from existing life. Excellent, 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 brilliant, Nafisat Yusuf. So, what actually happened is that he got three neck plaques where some are left open with meats or with other things inside, or they are just left open. And then the other one is left closed. So they realized that actually in those microorganisms, sorry, in those necked plaques, some microorganisms were developed, indicating that those microorganisms were developed due to contamination from already free existing life. While those, because it is completely sterilized without allowing any air, any kind of air to get into it, and there was no any living organisms there. And that is how he was able to demonstrate that living organism doesn't come from non-living organisms. And those one that actually has or that have life in them, the life is actually as a result of contamination by some other microorganism. So this is actually how the Louis Pasteur was able to disputed the theory of spontaneous generation. So then the next one is number C. What are the other contributions of Louis Pasteur that ushered in the golden age of microbiology? So what are the other contributions of Louis Pasteur in the golden age of microbiology? You see, I have all the videos on this. I have all the videos. I have all the videos. So I think you need to take your time watching all this so that at least you enjoy. So please, I'm listening to you. What are the other contributions made by Louis Pasteur? You see, most of these things I have them on my YouTube channel, and some of you, sometimes I'll just send you the link to the videos, and you'll know what. Please, I'm waiting for you. What are the other contributions of the Louis Pasteur in the golden age of microbiology? He actually make a lot of contribution in in microbiology. Excellent, excellent Nafisat. He was able to develop vaccine. Yes, pasteurization, development of vaccine like anti-rabies, anthrax, excellent. Pasteurization, yes. Fermentation, yes, is part of his contribution. So these are actually some of the. What about jam? So first, development of vaccine, pasteurization, fermentation, and then germ theory. Four. I just mentioned four. Germ theory, pasteurization, vaccination, and then fermentation. All these are the contribution of Louis Pasteur in the golden age of microbiology, and also molecular asymmetry. So this is actually the contribution of Louis Pasteur in microbiology. So please, you shouldn't forget about all these things. They are very important and relevant. So then now let's move to, so I think you mentioned at least each of these will now carry one mark. One, germ theory is one of his contribution where he demonstrated that microorganisms are responsible for causing diseases. Pasteurization is actually trying to how he used sterilization methods to prevent survival of microorganisms in milk. Vaccine, yeah, of course. So all fermentation. So fermentation, that is how microorganisms are utilized in the production of some fermented products like ethanol or beers. All these are the contribution made by Louis Pasteur in the golden age of microbiology. So that is why microbiology cannot forget the contribution made by this great scientist. So then now, what are viruses and how do organism? You see, all these videos, I have them in my YouTube channel. All these questions that we are now answering, I have them all in my YouTube channel. Please, it is not late now. It is not late, but very soon it's going to be late. So before it is late, before it is late, before it is late, try to go back and watch all those videos so that at least you will be happy whenever you are going to write your exam. So please, what are virus? Please, who can just describe the virus in two sentence? In two sentence, what are virus? What are viruses in two sentence? What are viruses? Just in two sentences. In two sentences, what are viruses? Uh, just viruses in two sentence, please. Uh-uh. No, nobody can say anything about just virus. What are viruses in two sentences? Okay. Viruses are cellular entities that cannot survive without a living host. Excellent. And they are smallest microorganism. Yeah. I think this is brilliant. So they cannot survive until there is a living host. And they are cellulars. So all this is actually the description of the virus. And another thing, they are either DNA, they either possess DNA or RNA. They cannot possess both. That is why we have DNA virus and RNA virus. So they mostly even classify based on the genetics material. We have positive RNA virus, we have negative RNA virus, we have positive DNA virus, and we have negative DNA virus. So all these things you need to actually look at them and think critically. So now, what are the what are the viruses and how do they differ from living cells? So living cells can undergo reproduction. they can undergo excretion, they can undergo reproduction, they can undergo respiration, they can undergo movement, while viruses they cannot do all those. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is actually that. So you need to describe the virus itself and then how the virus differ from other organisms. Then the next thing is what are viruses and how do they differ from living organisms? That is the questions that we answered. Then describe the structure of typical virus particle. So, ladies and gentlemen, actually, it is getting late, and I'm going to stop here. I just decided to say since I have already promised you yesterday that we are going to have class. That is why I actually even take my time and have this discussion. So I think what I'm going to do, we are going to have another discussion. When are we going to have another discussion, please? And I think yesterday we did on biochemistry, and now we did on microbiology. So remember, I'm tutoring you three different courses. So I think the next thing, can we do the physiology? Physiology 228. Can we do physiology next time? If yes, when? Please, I'm listening. Can we do it? Can we do human physiology? If yes, when? No, please, if possible, not on Saturday, because on Saturday I have Biochem 241 with my student. Yeah, I think, can we make it on, can we make it, okay, I think let's just leave it on Saturday. I think it's okay on Saturday. Let's leave it on Saturday. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, we can leave it on Saturday. But please, use today and watch most of those of our videos on microbiology, and then use tomorrow, because I have a lot of video on physiology. Yeah, I think, can we leave it by 4? No, no, I think by 2, by 2 p.m. on Saturday. Let's leave it 2 p.m. on Saturday. Yeah, let's leave it 2 p.m. on Saturday. So we are going to do physiology 228. Please, please, and please visit all those videos so that at least when we come for the interaction, it's not going to be difficult to us. So that at least when I ask you, then you provide the answer. So thank you very much. Do you have any question before we leave? And I said that if you know that you are not a member, please try to join the YouTube membership. It's just 250. Are you not in? No, I think we should leave it 2 p.m. Yeah, on Saturday, 2 p.m. So do you have any question? If you don't have any questions, then we are going to end it. So any question, please, any question, Questions, please. So if there is no any questions, then we are going to end it. Bye bye and see you next time. Bye bye.